Something has to change, and fast. The Chicago Bears secondary has been through a storm this season, and what happened against Baltimore made that clearer than ever. Tyler Huntley, a backup quarterback, looked like a Hall of Famer carving through Chicago's defense. He completed 17 of 22 passes, making it look effortless. And the truth is simple, it's not just bad luck anymore. The Bears are hanging by threads at cornerback. Let's face it, this defense is bruised, battered, and out of options. Jalen Johnson, still no clear timeline. The earliest projection? December. Kyler Gordon, another setback, another IR stint, gone for at least 3 more games. Tariq Stevenson, nicked up, trying to battle through, but hardly at 100%. Terrell Smith, out for the year. And rookie Zay Frazier? Sidelined for personal reasons. Every one of these names was supposed to be part of the 53-man roster, and now they're all gone. 5 cornerbacks. Gone. That's not just a setback, that's a nightmare for any defensive coordinator. And what's left? Nan Wright, gritty, but not a long-term starter. Jalen Jones, hadn't seen a snap in the secondary before this disaster. Nick McCloud, plays hard, but let's be honest, he's not starting caliber material in this league. It's a patchwork unit trying to survive a professional firestorm. Chicago's defensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, said after the game that Kyler Gordon's latest setback was another soft tissue injury. The plan? Short term. The reality? At least 3 games out, and possibly up to 8 weeks, depending on recovery. That puts his potential return around December 2. This defense that once prided itself on shutting down passing lanes is now running out of options. The Ravens don't even have an elite receiving core, yet they diced through Chicago's coverage like it wasn't even there. And now the Bears face something far scarier, the Cincinnati Bengals. That means Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. If Tyler Huntley looked like Joe Montana, what will Burrow look like against this secondary? The Bears are 4-3. That's the good news. But if they keep lining up with this same group of corners, that record could vanish in a hurry. The question now is this: do the Bears want to survive the season or compete for the playoffs? If they're serious about the latter, there's only one solution: go out and get a cornerback. Fast. The trade deadline is here, and the Bears can't afford to wait another week. If this team wants to stay relevant in the NFC, it's time to look at realistic targets who could help right now. 1. Alontae Taylor, New Orleans Saints. Let's start with the most logical fit. Alontae Taylor makes perfect sense for the Bears for a dozen reasons. He's in the final year of his rookie deal, he's versatile enough to play both outside and nickel, and most importantly, he already knows the defensive system. Having spent 3 seasons under Dennis Allen in New Orleans, Taylor could slide right into Chicago's defense with minimal adjustment. He's not a star, but he's dependable. Plug-and-play ready? If the Bears traded for him today, he'd likely start this Sunday. If Tariq Stevenson can't go, Taylor steps in outside. If Stevenson plays, Taylor becomes the starting nickel. Either way, he brings stability, something the Bears badly need. No, he won't lock down elite receivers, but he's far better than what the Bears rolled out last week. In a defense desperate for answers, he'd be a massive upgrade. 2. Tariq Woolen, Seattle Seahawks. Now, this one's interesting. Reports surfaced over a month ago that the Seahawks might be open to trading Woolen, though that's still uncertain. He's a long, physical corner with serious upside, but word is Seattle doesn't view him as a long-term fit in their new scheme. That could open the door for a move. Woolen's still only in the final year of his deal, and while his production dipped since his breakout rookie season, the talent is undeniable. He's long, athletic, and has that rare press-man ability that's hard to find. His tackling effort could use work, but in terms of coverage skill, he's a clear step up from what Chicago currently has. He's the type of guy who can step in immediately and compete. Not perfect, but when you're down 5 corners, you're not shopping for perfect. You're shopping for survival. Before we dive into more trade targets, if you're riding through this storm with the Bears, make sure you're part of our community. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and drop a comment below. Which cornerback would you trade for today? We go live after every game, break down every move, and give you the most honest Bears talk you'll find anywhere. Alright, let's get back to business. 3. Roger McCreary, Tennessee Titans. McCreary is a nickel-only corner, but he's a strong one. With Kyler Gordon out, that's an area Chicago desperately needs to patch up. At Auburn, scouts worried about his short arm length, which limited his outside role, but inside, he's physical, tough, and plays with real confidence. He's been solid for Tennessee this season, and the Titans have reportedly made almost everyone on the roster available except for a few key stars. He'd be a short-term rental, but that's fine. The Bears don't need a 5-year solution here. Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon are expected back eventually. What Chicago needs right now is stability, someone who can keep the defense afloat until the cavalry returns. A trade for McCreary wouldn't cost much and could help the Bears stay competitive through this rough stretch. 4. Rasul Douglas, Miami Dolphins. Here's a player with quiet value. Douglas has quietly graded out well this season, showing solid coverage ability despite the Dolphins' ups and downs. He's been playing mostly outside, but he's versatile enough to step into the slot if needed. He's not intercepting passes at the rate he used to, no picks in the past 2 years, but that doesn't mean he's lost a step. His coverage has held steady, and at a low cost, he's the kind of player who can come in and contribute immediately. Miami signed him on a small deal, about $3 million, so acquiring him wouldn't hurt Chicago's cap space or require a high draft pick. Realistically, a deal would be tough before Miami's Thursday night game, but afterward? Absolutely possible. For a team desperate for coverage help, he's a name worth monitoring closely. The Bears' options don't end there. If Ryan Poles wants to patch this defense quickly, there are a few other names floating around that could make sense depending on health, price, and availability. 5. Taylor-Britt, Cincinnati Bengals. This one's tricky because Chicago faces Cincinnati this week, and no team trades a player days before lining up against them. But after the game? It's worth a phone call. The Bengals benched Taylor-Britt recently, and their secondary has been inconsistent all year. If Chicago manages to beat them, Cincinnati would drop to 3-6, and at that point, they could start thinking about selling before the deadline. Taylor-Britt is young, physical, and aggressive, traits this Bears defense sorely needs. 6. Michael Carter, New York Jets, another nickel option. Carter isn't flashy, but he's reliable. He's the kind of player who can play sound, fundamental football, something the Bears need in the middle of the field. With the Jets' defense stacked and looking to move assets, Carter could be available for a late-round pick. 7. Deonte Banks, New York Giants. Here's one you probably skip. He's on the trade block, but his play this year has been shaky at best. Even struggling Bears corners have performed better. Still, his name is out there, and desperate teams sometimes take risks. 8. The veteran market, Gilmore, Samuel Jr., and Bradbury. If Chicago doesn't want to trade away future picks, the free agent route could still offer options. Stephon Gilmore, if he's healthy and still in shape, could bring veteran presence to a young locker room. Asante Samuel Jr., still recovering from neck surgery, was expected to have a mid-October medical check, but there's been no update. If cleared, he could be a solid signing. And James Bradbury? He's likely past his prime, but in an emergency situation, even experience counts for something. That's the big question. Should Chicago make a move? It depends on what kind of message they want to send. If they believe this team can compete, if they believe in Caleb Williams' progress and the young core, then yes, you absolutely make a move. Even if it's just for a mid-tier corner who can stop the bleeding for a month. If they sit back and do nothing, they risk watching their playoff chances fade before December even starts. The Bears are still 4-3. That's a winning record, and it's worth protecting. This team has fought too hard to let its secondary undo all that progress. And it's not like they need a miracle, they just need a professional cornerback who can line up and do his job. The schedule isn't forgiving. The Bengals are next, with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Then come the Steelers, Giants, and Browns, all teams that can expose a weak secondary if given the chance. If Chicago doesn't act now, the season could spiral before it's too late. The front office needs to make a decision in the coming days, play it safe and hope for the best, or take action and give this team a fighting chance. Because the Bears can't keep relying on backup corners and wishful thinking. Not with their record. Not with what's at stake. So here's the bottom line, Chicago must trade for a cornerback. Even if it costs a 6th-round pick. Even if it's only for the short term. This team deserves help, and the time to act is right now.